don't want to go in there. I'm so gonna die here. There is no fucking way. Okay, I triggered the couple. Are they coming through? There's the only way that I can go there is going in there. No! My life's brick, dude! No, there is no more. Val. Ooh! He's good. He's actually really good. Val Arc. Easy. Imagine playing Arc and dropping Val Arc early on. It's a good player. There's nothing else to add here. Good player. Holy shit. It is very easy, yeah. We have now 400. First I was running around with 69 marks, and now I check and I have back 420, so that's a good sign there. Oops. What we do now is taking this, and now get ready for the undisputed best requires level 44 boots in the game. They are actually insanely good. Holy shit. They are actually really good. Hey guys, and welcome to a new video. So the first night, the first stream, the first 11 hours stream is done. We arrived in Path of Exile 3.12 Heist League. So this video will be split in like probably 3 parts. So the first thing we're gonna do is talk about the build, my early impression or something about Crackling lands. Then we're gonna talk about my early impression about Heist and how I think it's going to be progressed in the future. Like, all of the things that I'm saying today in the video is obviously speculations, because how should I know if this build is going to be like the insane boss killer in endgame? We are 61, we just reached Blood Aqueducts, right? The same on heists, you know. I haven't done a single grand heist. I'm just running a couple low tier heists that I just found while mapping. So it's just, as I said, early impressions. And then on the third part, we're gonna talk about the current progression stage and what is planned for the next stream, about goals and yeah, build progression and so on, as well as like league progression, how far will we pop up and stuff. Good. Let's start with Crackling lands, the builds that I choose for my league start. How does it feel like? How does it look like? And so on. So I would say it is okay. Okay? Means in a good and a bad way, because I think I just have to mention it. I was talking to a bunch of people, or at least in the stream. It was like mixed feeling. It was a little bit weird on the stream. So many people were like in the stream telling me like, yeah, I choose your build for starting, and I'm in Act 3 now, and I kind of regret. It feels clunky, it feels weird, I'm not tanky, I have mana problems, I have this and that, you know. But for some reason, a lot of people were telling me that, but not only Crackling lands, about every single league starter they had, whether it's Bleed Bow, whether it's a Hex Blast, Doom Blast, like, it's just a fact that the normal league start is half a year ago, okay? People are used to gems, or at least like leveling gear, for example, quality gems, stuff like that. People are used to Harvest league start, right? And you cannot really compare Harvest league start to Heist league start, because Heist league is a normal league, you know? The way Harvest worked, I remember exactly when I was like level 35 or so, you know, I was like in Harvest, like using any bow that I found, you know, and like, yeah, reroll item with like a couple of physical modifiers, right? And I got a bow that was so freaking strong that I kept this bow until like low tier maps, you know? A bow that I picked up at level 30 until mapping, you know? And there was a lot of people having the same experiences with harvest crafting. And we know that feeling in the start of harvest craft. You had a bunch of sick leveling gear that you just browsed through all the entire content, or at least until mapping, and it was fine. And now we don't have harvest, and everybody's complaining about bad builds and bad league starts and terrible decision making and stuff like that. So I just would like to tell you guys that you keep that in mind, that this is not Harvest League, and we are back to the roots, back to PoE like it should be, with normal items, with a normal progression. It is League start, nobody has anything. I'm like super happy that I actually have a 5-link, my gear is trash, the typical things, okay? Good. So that's why I say Crackling Lance is okay. So I did not have any big problems playing it. The one thing that I want to mention is that I think I spec'd too early into Mind Over Matter. And yes, I still do have mana problems, although having all the necessary mana nodes. I have Dynamo, I have my Agnostic, I have my Battle Ruse, I have my Arcane Capacitor. I even took the small nodes, so I really heavily focused on mana and mana regen just to get this one going. And still at this point, when I just permanently cast my my Crackling Lance, I'm running out of mana, okay? And even with the mana regen, the problem is, as long as I don't get hit, it's okay, you know? It really does a lot of damage, but it just happens so often as well with like the Agnostic. So as soon as I lose life, I'm losing mana to recover life, you know? As soon as I get damage, I'm losing mana as well. So the typical way is, if I don't like one-shot the enemies, it kind of is like I get hit. You notice that on like act bosses and stuff. You just get hit, you lose all your mana, and you just have to walk away and press your mana flask and wait for some mana to get back, and then just cast 1 or 2 more times and then wait again. This is a problem that I have right now, and it is getting better. So I really can say safely that the longer you play the build, the better it gets. It's really a nice gearing curve on that part, because in the start it actually felt kind of terrible. But I think that's not about Crackling Lance. I think it's all about the overall Archmage archetype, you know, like spending so much mana, having problems getting that mana back. But before we talk any further, I would definitely say let's just run one Blood Aqueduct. I just yeah, got here, like I just ran into Act 9, the hometown, and then I stopped streaming, so here we are. We are now like having a play time of 8 hours 53 minutes. I gotta say the build is quite tanky, like surprisingly tanky, but I have like 2.3k life, and I also have over 3,000 mana already with Mind Over Matter, so obviously it is quite okay. So as you see here, with cost per damage taken, we have the Bone Offering, we are actually consuming a corpse, so we get the mana back. So overall, like just running around using Crackling Lance to just burn through the monsters feels quite good. Even for magic packs and rare packs, it's not bad damage at all, you know? And there is one big game changer, and this is the Sigil of Power. You know, this thing here is actually quite insane. I'm going to talk later on how this exactly works, but this basically just doubles your DPS. It is actually really ridiculous on that stage, and if it's that strong that early on, it might be insanely strong later on. So another point that I want to mention is my current links are Crackling Lance with Archmage, Added Lightning, Spell Echo, and Ellie Focus. So you might wonder, sorry, why not Intensify? And this is, I think it is bugged. That means Intensify actually gives you a certain amount of damage, and the more Intensify stacks you have, the less AoE, but the more damage you get. The same way as the built-in Intensify works with the Crackling Lance itself, right? But it kind of seems like you do not get the Intensify damage bonus from the Intensify support. So you get only this little bit extra damage that you always get with the gem itself, but it feels like once you reach the Intensify stacks, you don't get the damage multiplier. I had several people reporting me that, and I felt the same way. Hey, first map, there you go, easy clap. And level 62, easy leveling. So I feel the same way, and so I'm not sure if there is some issue with that or if it's intended and the damage just feels that way in the early stages of the game in Act 9 now. Maybe it's like big differences later on, you know? And as you see over here, I do have mana problems. It was way, way worse when I started to level, and that's why I say the more levels you get on this build, the better it feels like, the better it gets. So that's why it looks very, very promising. Like once I get like level 80 or so, my skill tree done and so on, that it actually feels quite well. Reason for that is everything that we use here on mana regen and stuff like that is a percentage of the mana that we have. And that means the way more mana we have, like we are talking about, like let's say we are tier 5 or something, like level 85 or so in like 20 levels or so, I might have somewhere about 5-6k mana, right? And like having 100% increased mana regen on like 6k mana is like way more mana per second that I get than I have right now with 3k mana. Obviously, when we talk about the increased mana, that is not really helping me in sustaining my mana. Yes, I do have more mana. Yes, I will regen more based on the percentage regen. But don't forget, we're playing Archmage, so every time I'm increasing my mana, I'm also having more mana cost. So it doesn't really help me, you know? I get more mana, I regen faster, but I have more mana cost, right? So I really focus on heavily on getting all those nodes where you have like increased effect of Arcane Surge, because Arcane Surge also, where do I have it? Over here, Arcane Surge also gives you percentage mana regen per second, right? And also like all the nodes over here with like increased mana regen rate, over here the flat mana and mana regen and damage taken gained this mana. So you really want to focus heavily on this mana sustain. As you saw, Crackling Lands looks quite amazing. It feels quite okay, I would say, on the current stage. Maybe there is some bugs with Intensify, for example. Unleash and Spell Echo does not give you any increased Intensify, so even if I cast twice, I only get 1 stack of Intensify, right? So it might be at some point that I'm just going to replace maybe Spell Echo into faster casting, because then every single cast will give me Intensify. But you never know how it will look like in like 20 levels from now, when we even get more cast speed, better gear and stuff like that, so we really can see how the build performs in later stages. But overall, I would say right now, as the build looks like, it looks pretty promising. It was a rough start, so if you're starting this build, don't worry about if it feels bad in the start. I would just probably stay away from Mind Over Matter in the early stages. Agnostic maybe as well, so if you just use life flasks to get your life back, that should be fine, because this will certainly help your mana sustain. I choose to go with both in the early stages. And I just have to say that every time you go into a burning ground, your mana is just going lower and lower, and you just have a very hard time getting all those mana back, even with the Essence Glutton and stuff like that. Good, this is the early impression of the build. I still don't regret my league start for now. I still want to see how this build performs with better gear and later in the game. So, anything else that I would say or explain here? I think I nailed it pretty much when we come to gems. I do have my my early things here. I have Flame Dash, Clarity, and Second Wind. I have my cast damage taken with Bone Offering and Desecrate to consume the corpses for the mana regen. Then I have my Falling cast damage taken with Wave of Conviction, Blood Rage, and Tempest Shield. Tempest Shield I just level with my build, because I'm still not having any shield. I'm still running those Bendo Recipe wands where you can like sell a magic wand with a rare Topaz Ring, item level 20 higher, and an Orb of Alteration. You get those flat lightning damage to spells. I use those too since level 20, and now I'm level 60 and still using the same weapons, and I don't think that I will find anything better until mapping on that part, right? So for the next skill point, I think I'm going to start browsing to the ally damage, because I think my survivability is very good. Like, I could face tank Isauro pretty much. It was really not a big problem, because it's so tanky, right? So I think I'm just going to take Divine Judgment with the extra damage on that part. Good. Then for the helmet, a Sigil of Power, increased area of effect, increased duration with Wild Righteous Fire for the damage boost that you get. Where I would say Is it necessary to run increased area of effect on Sigil of Power? I have no idea, because with increased area of effect, the thing is freaking massive, you know? And without increased area of effect, it is still pretty darn huge, you know? So at some point when we are like struggling, you see this is like the, you can barely see it, but you get the idea on how big is it without increased area of effect, right? So it is quite big, so I don't really think it's necessary to run that. The same way with increased duration, it kind of feels like that I can permanently sustain it, because you still see it has a pretty long cooldown with like 10 seconds, but it holds like 18 seconds, you know, so it is absolutely no problem to permanently sustain the Sigil of Power. And the way it works, you stand in there, and it gets 4 stages, the more mana you spend in there. And with Archmage, it's absolutely no problem to proc that thing on max stages, right? And it pretty much doubles your DPS. So if we would just stand here, I'll just wait until my Arcane Surge and everything is gone, because this is like multiplying your damage heavily. So just standing here, I have 11,000 damage. If I just activate the Sigil and just shoot a couple of times so I get my Intensify and stuff, I'm on 14,000 damage. So it really gives you a shit ton of damage. And when we use then the Arcane Cloak and stuff like that, it gets up to like 23,000. So you're really like tripling, quadring your DPS with the Sigil, with the Arcane Surge and stuff like that. Good. That's about the build. That's the current stage. The current gear with the gem setup, what I'm currently using, is in the description below as a day one, I would say. Now let's talk about Heist. I'm not going to run a Heist because you probably all went into a Heist once at least, and you know what's going on there, right? So it's just like running through, picking up chests and trying to not trigger the alarm as fast as possible, right? Because I personally, I just went in, you know, like, oh, there's monsters, kill there, oh, the alarm goes off, shit, you know? You have to wait for the NPC that he opens the door, and it just takes up quite a lot of time, and I actually failed in like 1 or 2 heists in like the 15 heists that I've done. So I would say the current meta of the build, right? Or the meta in general PoE, right? At least in softcore trading, or even overall meta, I would say. It's about speed, it's about explode or explode chest, it's about heavy clearing builds, you know. This is the current meta. And I think this is the exact wrong approach in Heist League. So what happened is at like the higher stages here on like 50 plus or so, I noticed that the heists are getting way longer, I would say. And it's like, it's hard, you know. At some point in the early stage, I was just running through and it was okay. But the longer the heists were going, the more careful I had to be to not trigger the alarm too fast, so I could actually reach the end trophy or trash or whatever that you want to find in there, right? Because if you trigger the alarm before you reach that point and collect this item, the heist is pretty much failed, right? You can still just leave the heist in the normal way and you keep the items, but the heist itself is failed. So what happened is, I was just going in, let's say there is a patrol running from the left side to the right side over there, right? So I was like waiting outside, waiting until the patrol is going right side, so I was sneaking into the left side and just walking around there, right? But then there is like a guard over here that I trigger because I'm getting too close. So what I do is, I triggered him, he's attacking me, I attack him. So the problem is, Crackling Lance has such a big AoE that it goes like 1.5 screens sometimes, right? So I'm attacking this guard and I actually pull the patrol that I actually passed before, right? And I think if you have like heavy AoE builds, like let's assume an auto bomber, for example, with Storm Secret, where really you have screen clears, you know, you're permanently going to trigger patrols that you would actually normally not trigger because you passed them already, right? So it really happened that I was just attacking something and I triggered guards from the other room and the alarm was even going higher. So I personally think there will crystallize a meta with heist builds, and they are probably going to stick with a lot of these stealth mechanics. So as we know, stealth is getting like, before that it was visibility, right? With like face run, and you could get up to like 100% visibility. So you could just stand next to a monster and nothing was happening because the monster did not realize you were there. You had 100% visibility, right? So they changed the visibility into stealth. And what stealth is doing, it reduces the range that you're gonna attract monsters. So let's say I don't know, like, the waypoint is a monster, right? So now I go over here and it gets triggered. The more visibility or stealth that I have, I could actually stand over here and I would still not trigger because I need to go into the circle to actually trigger it, right? So if you would just make a build, I think like Farrell's Fur, Cat Stand, something like that, Face Run, there is a bunch of things that you actually reduces the visibility, or at least the stealth mode, so you can actually sneak towards these heists way more effective without triggering something. And then you probably need a single target skill, something like that. Maybe, I don't know, a dual strike or something. You just don't want to have any skill like Crackling lands that's just blowing up the entire heist and you just pull everything and you have absolutely no chance of reaching the last room. But this is my my impression of it right now after doing like 10 or 15 low-level heist, you know? I have no idea how about the... I think I have like one rare heist here. I don't know about grand heists, so this is just my way of thinking after seeing like 15 small heists, right? If it will be the same way once we reach mapping, once we have like level 80 heists or something, we're gonna find about that in the upcoming days, but that's pretty much it. My first impression about heist. Overall, pretty cool. I did not have any cool drops, no tabby, no gold rim, no doctor card, no exalted orb, just absolutely nothing, okay? I have like a couple of chaos orbs. I just found on the first run through in the Blood Aqueduct, I found a humility card. There should be like 3 or 4 chaos maybe if I'm fast selling that, but that's pretty much it. So nothing too special. I have like 7 chaos, a couple alchemy orbs, fusings, jewelers, the typical things. So absolutely no crazy stuff, no streamer RNG or whatsoever. So this is day 1, or at least we're still in day 1. So once I'm done with the video, I'm going to take a nap, then I will just edit this video, upload it, and then we're gonna go into the second stream, which is still day 1. So what is the plan? So obviously we're gonna finish the quests, or at least the acts. We are now act 9, so it probably takes like 2 more hours or so until I'm at mapping, when I still do my heists. I'm going to let's actually write down. Let's put this one over here and say day 1. So I want to have at least 3 or 4 laps completed. That's definitely doable. Then I want to have... Do we go crazy? I think we do. 50 maps completion on the Atlas. That's going to be a sick achievement there. At least 1 mid-tier map. That would be good. If possible, the lab trials. And why do I keep this one separated? It's basically... It doesn't, like, only because I have the Uber lab trials doesn't mean that I will capable or be capable of doing the Uber lab already. I do think so, based on the first 2 laps that I've done. The agnostic, the mind over matter, everything, the mana region stuff, it is insane. I can just run over burning floor. I don't get damage. I just lose mana that I can regen with my mana flasks, right? The trap's the same way. I just don't get any damage. So the question is, will Isauro one-shot me at some point or not? So this is the only question, right? So once I have my Uber Lab trials, I will obviously go into Uber Lab, or try it at least. But I think Uber Lab is a little bit harder, so I want to have 3 or 4 laps completed, 50 white maps or 50 map completion done, at least 1 yellow tier map done, and all the Uber Lab trials. And that's pretty much it for day 1, I would say. So this is the quest. This is what I'm going to try to achieve on the next stream once this is done. Alright guys, that's pretty much it for this video. So thanks for tuning in, thanks for watching, and yeah, hopefully see you on the next video or on the stream.